Right, ladies and gentlemen. So last week I did a couple of videos actually all around the potential that South Africa could get sanctioned by the United States under Donald Trump. Now, for those of you who didn't watch those videos, I suggest that you do actually go through and have a watch of those videos. They're actually pretty good videos. They've got some very good view counts. And for those of you who did like, share, and subscribe, really thankful. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help. So let's actually start off at the beginning. So for those of you who watched the first video, you may recall I said that there was a potential that South Africa would get a new ambassador to the United States in the form of Joel Pollack. Now, at the weekend, Joel came out, and I'm going to quote a tweet from you. He says, South Africa and 8 democratic deficient nations, including totalitarian Cuba, have formed the so-called Hague Group to oppose Israel and support terrorism. The Trump administration should apply targeted sanctions to Cyril Ramaphosa and Durko South Africa until they withdraw this absurdity. So again, if you guys looked at the first video, I just said this is actually a guy we could potentially have as the future ambassador to South Africa. Now, a lot of the video that I made did speculate that potentially a lot of the actual sanctions could be applied to Cyril Ramaphosa directly, as opposed to South Africa in general. Now, interestingly enough, today on Truth Social, now for those of you who don't recall, Truth Social is actually Trump's equivalent of X. He created it after he got kicked off X. And Trump came out and basically said South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. It is a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want so much as a massive human rights violation at a minimum is happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, I will be cutting off all future funding to South Africa until a full investigation of the situation has been completed. Now, for those of you who don't recall, during Donald Trump's first term in office, he did obviously say that he would be reviewing South Africa specifically in relation to genocide talk and in relation to farm murders. That very tweet was then responded to by Elon Musk, who said, true. To those tweets, a bunch of journos jumped on there and basically said, yeah, there's no confiscation of land and Trump is full of rubbish and, there's nothing happening here, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. The problem is what Trump's actually referring to is the Expropriation Without Compensation Act, also known as the Expropriation Act. Now, I said without compensation because this idea of land confiscation is exactly what having expropriation without compensation is. You're confiscating land. You're taking land. Now, according to Trump, that is all going to be racially targeted. It's going to be directed at specific individuals, and we all know who those individuals are. Now, in response to the tweets, some things have been occurring with the South African government that are rather telling. The first is that Cyril Ramaphosa obviously responded and said that South Africa is a constitutional democracy. It's deeply rooted in the rule of law and justice and equality, and that what we've got here is a constitutionally mandated legal statute that allows them to do expropriation. We are not just having, arbitrary confiscation of land. But the mere fact that you say that you've got a constitutionally mandated legal statute is just your way of saying, yeah, but the people told us that they want land expropriation, so we put a land expropriation bill in place. Now, in response to this, Lamolo came out and basically said, yeah, he wants Trump to do his full review and he'll see that we're a good functioning democracy. Nothing to see here. The problem is that it seems that many of these individuals tend to just randomly forget stuff. They forget the very narrative pushed forward when they adopt these forms of legislation in the first place. They forget that a lot of it, and still now, is shaped in this idea, as even the president's spokesperson says. The reason we have expropriation without compensation is because of the repressive and brutal colonialism and apartheid, and our constitution allows for the redressing of the ills of the past. Okay, so your redressing of the ills of the past is to confiscate land from individuals that you think basically shouldn't have those land, because give us back the land, you stole the land, Murdoch's or something. Even though the likelihood is they actually bought that land. And yes, maybe the apartheid government did expropriate certain forms of land and did redistribute it through others, but they didn't just give it to people, they sold it to them. So in terms of those individuals, they have got property rights. They have bought it through legal title. You may say, okay, well, the government that sold it to you and reallocated it to you did it through illegitimate means. Yeah, okay, so what, are you going to repeat the sins of the past? Is this tit for tat? Why is it that you only really appear to want to be doing this to individuals that you class as undesirable? To then also say that we don't have racist ownership laws in South Africa is rubbish. We do have racist ownership laws in South Africa. We call them BEE. We call them affirmative action. How come Elon Musk cannot set up a company here unless he gives away a certain percentage of it to historically disadvantaged individuals? Well, what is that? That's racist ownership laws. You're not allowing individuals to thrive in the country because you're trying to adopt forms of centralized planning over the economy whereby you state who can own a business and who cannot. That's racist because you're not doing it on the basis of meritocracy or even the people with the funds. You're doing it on the basis of the color of their skin and no other reason. Now, in response to this, Gwede Matashe says that Africa as a whole should withhold all of its minerals to the US. He says, if the America's not willing to give us money, we shouldn't give it our minerals. We should all stand together. And this seems like really telling. So basically, you're going to throw a strop because the guy's not willing to just give you free cash for nothing, whilst you sit there and basically shout at him and call him all sorts of names, tyrant and whatever else. Like, that's pretty shameful. You're feeding into the exact thing that he says is a problem in the first place. Now, what's also interesting is that as a result of this, AfriForum has come out and said, look, target the ANC politicians, don't target South Africans as a whole. This following the idea that the logical next step would actually be to see AGAO get cancelled, which we called on this channel a few times. It does look like if Trump continues the way that he is, he's going to cancel AGAO. Now you see there's a reason for that, and that is because one of the criteria to have AGAO is to make sure that property rights are sacrosanct. Well, we've just undermined property rights, so we're in violation of the agreement. So as a result, probably won't get renewed. Now this is obviously going to have a detrimental impact on South African business as a whole and South African citizens. And South African has said, look, target the ANC guys, don't target Africans as a whole. Now, in typical response, also those arguments that Elon Musk says we've got openly racist ownership laws. Apparently, a load of journals are basically saying that Elon Musk is pushing forward disinformation and misinformation, and he's lying, and that doesn't happen, except it does. There are numerous industries in South Africa you cannot get involved in without at least giving away 50% of your business to a BE partner. That is racist. I don't care what you have to say. Historical, who, no one cares. It's racist. You're basically dictating, you are planning ownership on the basis of race. No other reason. That is openly racist ownership laws. At the end of the day, we could all sit there and say, well, look at the Expropriation Act. Yeah, we're not having big, land confiscations yet, but there are many politicians out there that are calling for just that. They want arbitrary land confiscation from individuals based on nothing more than who they are and the color of their skin. In other words, they're Afrikaners and they're white. There are numerous. You won't have to look hard for it. Now, at the end of the day, we could say, well, it's not happening, but the law is there that allows it. And there are numerous individuals calling for it to occur. So what do? Do you wait till the crime has been done and then look to punish, or do you look to stop the crime from occurring in the first place? And I would venture to add, that's probably what Trump's attempting to do in this instance. South Africa is a deeply racist country towards white individuals. Doesn't matter what you say. I don't care. You can sit there in the comment section and tell me that I'm racist all you want. But at the end of the day, South Africa has more race laws on its book now than it did during apartheid. And many of those, you may say, well, they're on there to redress the economy and rebalance this and rebalance that. And a lot of that is to fix the injustice of the past. And there'll be lots of people that say, yeah, but you oppressed our people for this amount of time. What? Yeah, justify it all you want, but it doesn't stop the fact of the matter. We do have a number of laws on the statute books that prohibits any form of white person from getting ahead in the system or doing well through no other reason than their race. That's it. Look at a child born after 94. You could say, okay, maybe their ancestors had some benefits of I don't know, whatever. They go through schooling, they come out of schooling. Let's just say they want to have, They want to do horse racing and they want a bookmaker's license, do horse racing. But they can't. They just flat out can't. It excludes them unless they're prepared to give away a percentage of that business to a previously disadvantaged black individual, blah, blah, blah. That individual is severely limited in terms of their future potential. There's no other reason than the color of their skin. No other reason. You're going to say, yeah, but their parents this and their parents that. Yeah, but their parents, not them. Life has changed. And that is just one example of it. So if you're a journo and you're sitting there going, yeah, but this is all just bull rubbish. No, it's not. I mean, you got to remember, whenever you put a law in place, the law has to be considered on the basis of its worst abuses, not what's the best case scenario of the person that tries to implement the law within the spirit of the law. It's not what you do. Could this law be used by a mad tyrant to confiscate cars, firearms, your medical aid, your anything on the basis of public interest? And the answer would be yes. On top of that, it misleads the public as to what the law's actual intention is. We've already seen this in Limpopo. There's been various parts of Limpopo that already have land grabs. There are land grabs occurring at the moment by individuals, not by the government, but by squatters. And they're saying, yeah, but Ramaphosa says that we're allowed to expropriate land. This is happening right now. And this is as a consequence of these laws. So to dismiss Trump and Elon when they look at these situations and say, this isn't great, is to ignore and to condone the very things that they can see may be problematic in the future. And as I said, what do? Go back and punish people after they commit the crime or stop them from committing the crime in the first place? I would venture to say that's what these guys are doing. They're trying to stop the crime from occurring. They don't want a Zimbabwe 2.0. And so what's the natural consequences of this? Sanctions, baby. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. Now, whether or not those sanctions get targeted directly at the ANC or they actually get applied to South Africa as a whole, we don't know. But what we do know from today is that all aid to South Africa has been cut. The rand is tanking and a lot of spotlights on us. And you know what? News 24's response to this is, yeah, Trump surrounding himself with, apartheid agents. Yeah, you guys are dumb. And we say this many times, but you don't hate the media enough. Anyway, just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Until next time, bye.